Greetings. I'm Dr. Jeanine Parolini, the Christian dating professor, and I'm here to talk with you about the S in my SEXI model. The S actually stands for spiritual, and in this case, I will be discussing Christian spirituality. However, if you are of a different faith practice, I believe that you can take these principles and apply them to your own faith practice. My 91 dates have shown me that it is important to match spiritually in a relationship. The level of faith match actually affects every area of the relationship. For example, I met a man who we had an amazing connection over many areas of the SEXI model, yet he struggled with his security over his faith. And I found that that issue affected every area of our relationship over time. And in fact, it made it difficult for us to remain together as a couple. So that is why, as a Christian, this is the first area that I approach with potential date matches. And let me offer you some suggestions for how I approach this. This is not the way you have to do it, but maybe it helps you to think through how you want to approach it. So I might say something like this to a potential date. The most important priority in my future relationship with my partner is to match in the Christian faith. I have a deep love for Jesus Christ that I would love to share with the man that I am with. Would you please share with me about your faith and also tell me about your personal relationship with Jesus? So that might be the way I would begin to ask about faith. But again, you can adjust that to what you're comfortable with. Now, the response to that question will tell me quite a bit. First of all, there are some men who might completely want to avoid that question. And so they might laugh off what I say, or they might ignore the question and change the topic. My read on this is that they are not quite as interested in my number one priority. So I may mention that I notice that they have changed the topic, or I notice that they haven't answered my question, and I might let them know that I'd really love to hear from them in answering my question, and then I watch to see what happens. So if I notice that they really are avoiding it, I may just try to get myself out of that situation as soon as possible and not spend a whole lot more time with it. The reason I do that is I'm dating to try to find a really good faith match and potential partner. I'm not dating to try to change somebody's mind about faith. I'm not dating to try to convert anybody. I want to be a respecter of the men that I date. I don't want to force or try to control them into something. So that's the reason why I just try to ask the question, have the conversation around it, and try to notice where that man is at and being willing to open up about his faith. But I don't want to try to push or force something onto him. So that is where I will then just step back and, try to listen or remove myself from the relationship interaction at that point. Now, please hear me right on this, because if somebody's really interested in talking about faith and they want to pursue that topic with me, I am very open and I will spend the time with them and I will talk with them about faith. But again, I'm not in the dating process to try to force somebody to share my faith practices. I am in the dating process to try to find a good match. And that's the same thing that I'd like for you as well. Another option that I might encounter is that some men will say that they are of the Christian faith, but maybe they don't go to church, or maybe that they say they're not as deep in their faith as they notice that I am. To this, I'll respond by letting them know that I'm really interested in potentially and over time going to church with my partner. I'm also really interested in praying with him and serving with him, as well as studying the Bible with him. And then I'll ask them, is this something that you're interested in as well, or that you would like to have in your life, or not so much? And then I look for their answer there. Some are interested in those 4 areas, and some are not so interested. For those that are interested in more or are interested in going deeper in their faith, I let them know that I love Jesus so much and that my heart for him is so deep that I want to follow his ways by also remaining sexually pure before marriage. Now, many men are not interested in that, but the reality is that I'm not interested in those men either. I think it takes maturity and time in a relationship and building a relationship before getting sexually involved. So I'm looking for a man who is interested in being mature enough to build a real relationship before getting involved physically. I also believe that it takes really getting to know each other and really having an intimate relationship to have a passionate sex life together. So I'm interested in a man who wants to build a relationship, then get married, and then work on having a passionate sex life together over the long term. So I hope this session is helpful to you in thinking about how you want to maneuver the way that you talk about spirituality in your potential dating relationships. I'm interested in a real relationship. I'm not interested in a surface relationship and hookups. So you may find that the way I approach things is helpful, or you may decide to make other adjustments. I mainly want to support you in finding true and lasting love. So thank you again for being part of this session. I hope it helps you in your discussing relationship and spirituality and how you go about approaching it. And please stay tuned for the next SEXI video on the E in SEXI.